Well, good morning, everyone. Sunday morning. I hope everyone's had a good weekend up to this point. It looks like it's going to be a great day across the Ozarks. And we have this one weather system that scooted through Kansas, mostly Kansas and Oklahoma, but a little bit of Missouri. That's this right here. That is clearing the area. What is not clear at all is the smoke that continues to burn with the fires generated by the fires in Canada and swooping down in this area here. You can see that milky white kind of entrainment of the smoke into the storm system. The big storm system is in the northeast. Otherwise, the country is fairly quiet. We have a cutoff low down here, just off the coast of Southern California, and that's it. We are expecting some severe weather pockets. I can think you can probably look at this map and figure out where they are. Play that game, and we'll see what the HRRR simulated radar is looking at. This is a high resolution model that's run every hour, and every 6 hours it's run out to 2 days. So that allows us to take a look at the next 2 days of what it thinks the radar will look like. And you can kind of see how thunderstorms are popping up in just a few select places. South Florida is one of them, even Central Florida, the southwestern portion of the country, and then increasingly in the plains, you start to get some thunderstorm activity approaching Monday and almost into early Tuesday. Let's take a look at the severe weather outlook for today. Interesting hodgepodge of categories here. Lowest risk, there's 5 of those. Miami's one of them. Tennessee stretching into North Carolina. Probably the hot spot of the country, though, does belong to Texas, East Texas in particular, where they have a 2 out of 5 slight risk rating there. High plains of Colorado and New Mexico, and back into parts of Montana and Idaho. The tornado risk is fairly limited, but it is still popping up. 2% risk, Dallas, Austin, Houston, those areas, central and east central Texas, and also that small strip where the squall line will kind of drape through southern Florida. If we look for Nadocast, though, it's not getting too impressed with anything, except there is a 2% risk in South Florida, specifically around Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, those areas. And then that small little risk there just south of Dallas. If we look at the SIPS model, this is a model that runs on past analog comparisons. In other words, it takes the models and what they're projecting and looks at what happened in the past and says, okay, I think this is going to happen again. So it does show some severe weather activity in the high plains, and that was bolstered by one of those areas I showed you, and certainly this one matches up, but it doesn't have any pattern matching for South Florida, so we'll see, or the North Carolina one either. So we'll see what happens with that. Then we go into Monday, start of the work week. We have a long area. This is really smacks of a front. And if you've been looking at these long enough, you realize this is a cold front the way it's shaped, and this is the dry line. So a level 1 and 2 through a large area of the central U.S. The highest probabilities run from South Dakota right into the heart of Nebraska and then straight south to North Texas Panhandle region. The SIPS model, again, agrees with that assessment. There's one jet stream here that's going to fire activity here, and then we have a dry line with weaker winds, but there is an upper level disturbance right here that could energize that for Monday. And then we look ahead to the CSU model, which does put a tornado risk up here in the central Nebraska region, western Nebraska, and adjacent areas of the surrounding states, but a pretty big hail probability right there just on the corner of Colorado there. And then finally we go to head to Tuesday. This is where this stretches out quite a bit, and this is a frontal system, so typically the way the jet stream is oriented, this is a positive tilt jet stream, which usually supports lines of thunderstorms, which can produce any variety of severe weather. It's a little less likely to produce tornadoes, but once we get closer to Tuesday, there probably will be some resolution in here. What we're looking for always is low-level winds and low-pressure areas, or how thunderstorms create those in a miniature sort of way to see if we can get spin-ups for tornadoes. But right now, this is just a broad brush 1 to 2 category ahead of that front, which is very much supported by the SIPS model, almost exactly. And the CSU model shows that tornado risk, again, broad brush tornado risk right along that area there. So again, if any areas, Wisconsin, Minnesota, or not Minnesota, but Missouri and parts of Kansas and Oklahoma, if we can get a little miniature outflow boundary, that sort of thing, that might enhance that a little bit. It looks like it wants to put the hail risk down in Texas along with the severe weather risk down there and also in Oklahoma. Then through midweek, this becomes kind of a rain system. as the front stalls out. So the severe weather possibilities are limited. But you should know that heavier rains are going to be falling in this area here through the middle of the week. Thursday, same deal. The cold front sweeps into New England, so we got a couple of thunderstorm probabilities there. Note on both of those, the SPC did not pull a trigger on anything. And then we have that severe weather risk in the high plains. And then things pop up again on Friday. You can always tell when the front is draped here, as that's the stable air back there. And then we're just seeing a return flow of moisture and instability into the Great Plains on Friday. And the way that's been looking lately, I think the SPC will probably pull an outlook there, maybe not tomorrow, but the day after that. And then getting into Saturday of next week, we have this long, broad area of rain and thunderstorms. Again, the thunderstorms are going to be more severe, closer to the humid, unstable air. And then the rain is going to tend to break out on the northern edge of those outlook areas, or even out of them sometimes. Take a look at 3 more maps here. This is the supercell composite. Oh, by the way, happy June, 1st of June today. So this is June today, 1st through the 7th. A supercell composite is very strong in Oklahoma and Texas. That pretty much mirrors what we showed you, with that little highlight maybe in New England and South Florida, and even in the high plains. So this is a really good test of the outlooks to see what we're doing on supercells. And then you can see the stable air kind of sinks southward. We get 2 pockets. This is more along climatology. In mid-June. Actually, it's more back in here, but Montana acting up a little bit, and still pretty high probabilities in Texas, June 8th through June 14th. And finally, to round things out here today, June 15th through the 21st, we see a supercell composite broadly up the chute, basically, of the Great Plains, and then maybe a little bit of jet stream activity back and through here is just generally forecast, which would tend to enhance these areas here, especially if we throw some unstable air up there, which this time of year, for the unstable air to get that far north, is a little more plausible. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day 1 because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.